3 days before I was to marry Marcus. I opened his car door and saw a dignified and elegant girl sitting in the passenger seat, a spot he never allowed anyone else to occupy. With just one glance, I knew she was the one that got away, the woman he had loved and lost in his youth. They looked like a perfect match, making me feel like an outsider. He looked impatient. How many times are you going to argue with me over this passenger seat thing? I touched my flat abdomen. A child had been there. But I figured there was no need to say anything more. I won't argue anymore, I said lightly. We're over. But once I stopped arguing, he regretted it. It's always interesting to see how far this story will go. How would you rate this story, from 0 to 10? If you like it, you can subscribe. A few days before the wedding, Marcus said he wanted to introduce me to his friends. I readily agreed, spent a long time getting ready, and even asked Marcus which of 2 outfits looked better. Marcus stared at his phone, not even bothering to look up at me, and said impatiently, whatever. Who cares what you wear? For 5 years, his attitude towards me had always been this indifferent. Even though I was used to it, a pang of disappointment still pricked my heart. But I raised a hand to touch my abdomen, thinking of the child there, the culmination of Marcus's and my love. We were getting married in a few days, and my spirits soared. My relationship with Marcus was one-sided. He was so aloof that it took me 3 years of pursuing him before he was willing to give us a try. 2 more years passed, and he only reluctantly agreed to marry me now. I hadn't yet told Marcus about my pregnancy. I planned to whisper it to him during the wedding, when he put the ring on my finger, to surprise him. I was sure he would love the baby too. I quickly changed and got into Marcus's car. As always, he wouldn't let me sit in the passenger seat, even though we were getting married soon. I thought I would have that right and couldn't help but feel wronged. Isn't the passenger seat for your girlfriend? And besides, we'll be husband and wife soon. Marcus moved his hand, locked the passenger seat door, rolled down the window, and gave me a cold glance. His tone was like ice shards in winter, hitting me directly. If you keep this up, you can walk the rest of the way. I pouted and had no choice but to sit in the back. There was no other reason. I knew Marcus was a man of his word, and I had already suffered because of this passenger seat rule. It was winter, and a heavy snow had fallen. I had worked late and couldn't find a taxi. Marcus happened to be driving past the office on his way home from a meeting. It was the first time I called him to ask for a ride. He seemed to be in a good mood that day. He agreed without much convincing. But when I saw his car door open, I noticed a man asleep in the back seat, probably a business partner, taking up most of the space. Seeing this, my instinctive reaction was, of course, to sit in the passenger seat, but looked at me with an expression reserved for strangers and clowns, which chilled me to the bone. I couldn't help but stutter, what's wrong? Didn't I say no one is allowed in the passenger seat? Yes. I still couldn't resist defending myself. But I saw someone in the back. Perhaps seeing that I dared to talk back, his aura turned completely cold, and he said, get out. I was left behind in the heavy snow, caught a cold, and fell seriously ill. I thought a lot while I was sick, and over time, I came to terms with it. After all, Marcus's obsession with the passenger seat wasn't just directed at me. If he didn't want anyone there, so be it. Marcus's friends were, without exception, wealthy elite with family backgrounds similar to his. They didn't show much seriousness on their faces, but I keenly sensed a watching a show expression when they looked at me. Though suspicious, I didn't pay much attention. Soon after, I went to the restroom but realized I had forgotten my lipstick. Just as I was about to go back for it, I heard Marcus and his friends chatting and laughing. Marcus, as you probably don't know yet, but Grace came back today. The one that got away is back? That's big news. Marcus, you're a new noble in Silverwood now, right? Why not rekindle your old flame? Marcus's voice chimed in, tinged with laughter. What nonsense are you talking about? She's already married. Don't worry about that, bro. I've already got the scoop for you. Grace is divorced. Marcus couldn't help but ask, why? It seems her husband wasn't good to her. I heard he even abused her, and she had a miscarriage a while ago. I specially invited Grace to join us. So, Marcus, aren't I thoughtful? Before could answer, one of his friends asked, but, if you and Grace actually. What about Sarah? I just heard you guys are getting married soon. While I waited for Marcus to answer, my heart pounded like a drum. My hand on the doorknob was sweating from nervousness, slick and nearly slipping. After what felt like an eternity, I finally heard Marcus's voice. It was still that indifferent tone, the laughter from earlier seemed to have vanished. When he mentioned me, he became cold again. We'll see. Before I could fully grasp the true meaning of those 3 words, the sound of heels approached from a distance. Click-clack, click-clack. Each step seemed to land on my eardrums, making my heart race uncontrollably. It was a voice that sounded noble and equally cold. Excuse me. The private dining room door was pushed fully open by her. Bathed in the bright light from inside, I finally saw her face clearly. With just one glance, I could almost immediately confirm that she was the one that got away, the woman Marcus had loved and lost in his youth, the woman named Grace. Perhaps it was because Grace and I appeared together that everyone in the private dining room froze. It was a while before someone finally broke the silence, trying to ease the tension. Grace, how did you come with Sarah? Come on, everyone, don't just stand there, come in and sit down. Waiter, add another chair, put it. Marcus interrupted, she can sit next to me. Sarah, you find another place to sit. Since he had spoken, Grace didn't even look at me. She went straight to the seat I had just been in and said something incredibly nasty. Is this your wife? If you hadn't said anything, I would have thought she was a hotel server. Marcus, when did your taste get so bad? Marcus poured her a cup of tea. She naturally can't compare to you. After saying that, he added, not married yet. What's so great about marriage? You men, none of you are any good. Perhaps my face was too pale, as one of Marcus's friends turned to me and whispered, Sarah, don't take it personally. They haven't seen each other in too long. Grace used to talk to Marcus like that when they were in school, she just has a sharp tongue. I didn't answer. Even if I hadn't heard their conversation at the door, I couldn't believe such an excuse now. Moreover, I had heard those words, and Marcus was openly demeaning me in front of Grace. I didn't know how to give myself a reasonable explanation to deceive myself. But I still didn't make any move, just endured Grace's condescending remarks, thinking I would have a proper talk with Marcus once we got home. I kept enduring until the dinner party ended, and I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Marcus's car pulled up. As I was about to get in, the passenger seat window rolled down, revealing Grace's face and her disdainful look. It's too late to get a taxi. Marcus said he'd give me a ride. Sarah, you wouldn't mind even this, would you? If she truly just couldn't find a taxi and Marcus offered her a ride, I wouldn't have said anything. But too much had happened tonight, and Marcus still let her sit in that passenger seat, which he never let anyone else occupy. It felt as if all the blood in my body rushed to my head. I felt dizzy, yet my body was as cold as that day Marcus left me in the heavy snow. Seeing me hesitate for too long, Marcus tapped the steering wheel a few times. I knew that was a sign of his impatience, but right now, I couldn't care less. All the suppressed anger burst out in an instant. Pointing at Grace, I asked him, my voice trembling uncontrollably, why is she in your passenger seat? Didn't you say you never let anyone sit in the passenger seat? Grace, however, covered her mouth and chuckled. She playfully tapped Marcus's shoulder before saying, Marcus, you've been dating her for so many years, and you don't even let her sit in the passenger seat? Marcus looked helpless. Whose fault is that? My fault, Grace turned back. I'm really sorry. This was an agreement Marcus and I made back when we were in school. I didn't expect him to remember it for so many years. You must have felt wronged. Although said this, there was no hint of apology on her face. The previous cold and noble demeanor seemed to have been an act for others. Now, facing me, she radiated superiority and haughtiness. It seemed that behaving intimately with someone else's fiancé was something to be proud of. Seeing his expression, a furious anger surged within me. I furiously pulled the car door, wanting Grace to get out. Until sharp rebuke, Sarah, do you have to make a scene in public? You may have no shame, but I do. Large tears rolled down my cheeks. Marcus, I'm your fiancé, and we're getting married soon. You give a seat I can't even sit in to another woman, You're always like this. Marcus rubbed his temples, seemingly exasperated. How many times are you going to throw a tantrum at me because of the passenger seat? You were doing it on the way here, and now again. Isn't the back seat spacious enough for you? I really don't understand you. That's right, Sarah, it's better to maintain some composure when out in public. Seeing that I was about to speak again, Marcus seemed to finally lose his patience. Enough. I really regret asking you to come out. Marrying someone like you is truly humiliating. When you calm down, we can talk. Once again, he left me on the side of the road. It was too cold at night. One of Marcus's friends, unable to watch, offered to give me a ride. But no sooner had he spoken than a message popped up on his phone. After reading it, his face showed distress. "I'm sorry, Sarah, Marcus said none of us are allowed to give you a ride back." As if afraid I wouldn't believe him, he even showed me his phone screen. It was a group chat I'd never seen before. Marcus had tagged everyone in it, saying, "If any of you dare to give Sarah a ride back, don't ever appear in front of me again. This is my punishment for Sarah." It was 4 in the morning when I finally stumbled home, shivering. The lights were still on in the living room. The moment I felt the light, I knew, deep down, that Marcus had come back alone, without bringing anyone else. This was still our home. I was less than 2 months pregnant, and the size of my abdomen hadn't really changed from before, but I just felt that something was different. The fetus inside seemed to be subtly moving. I didn't want to wait any longer and planned to tell Marcus the news as soon as possible. But before I could speak, Marcus spoke first. "I won't dwell on what happened today, but from now on, understand your place and stop embarrassing me. Grace didn't even hold it against you. I'd be satisfied if you could learn from Grace's temperament. She did nothing wrong and still had to apologize to you. There's a small reception tomorrow." Marcus unlocked his phone, looking at the screen with a slight smile, as if talking to someone. "Originally, after the scene you made today, I didn't want to take you, but Grace said she'd bring you tomorrow, as she wants to apologize to you. Be sensible tomorrow. If you act like you did today again, we won't get married." He finished speaking, looked at me, and then subconsciously frowned. "Do you have to make yourself look so pathetic? It makes it seem like I'm abusing you. All right, don't stand there. Go to the kitchen and make me a bowl of soup." Marcus often got headaches after drinking, and almost every time, he would ask me to make him a bowl of soup. I said nothing, just walked like a zombie towards the kitchen. I couldn't help but ponder what Marcus had just said. Was all this really my fault? Was I too petty, too possessive of Marcus? Maybe those talks about rekindling old flames were just jokes between him and his friends. And also said she would apologize to me tomorrow. Maybe I was just overreacting. The next day, Marcus and I attended the reception together. Grace was already waiting there. She seemed to keep her distance from Marcus. They only exchanged a brief greeting. She apologized to me very politely. My anxious heart finally settled, and I couldn't help but feel how ridiculous I had been last night. Marcus and his friends had business to discuss, so Grace and I stayed in a corner, just the two of us. After some hesitation, I decided to speak. I felt I also needed to apologize for last night. But she suddenly spoke, dropping the generous facade she had put on earlier. "I can't believe Marcus would date, let alone marry, a fool like you." My hand holding the glass trembled. I almost dropped it. I forced myself to be calm and asked her, "What do you mean by that? Isn't it obvious what I mean?" Grace cast a dismissive glance at me, her tone scornful. "You don't actually think I asked Marcus to bring you here today to apologize to you, do you? First off, why should I apologize to you? I heard you stalked Marcus for years just to get next to him. And he's always liked me, you couldn't have missed that, could you?" A bad feeling grew in my heart. I could only feign composure and tell her, "We're almost married." Grace chuckled softly at my words, as if what I said was a huge joke. "But you're not married yet, are you? Besides, does marriage mean Marcus will love you forever? In the game of love, the one who is loved is the real winner." Grace leaned closer, her voice playful. "How about we make a bet? Let's see who he'll choose between the two of us. The loser has to get lost and stay away." Without waiting for my answer, Grace suddenly gasped. In full view of everyone, she grabbed my arm and pulled me with her into the swimming pool. It was winter, and this wasn't a pool party, so the water wasn't heated. It was icy cold, chilling me to the bone. I couldn't swim and panicked when I fell into the water, struggling uncontrollably. I had already swallowed several mouthfuls of water, and my lungs burned. I could only pray someone would pull me out. Marcus knew I couldn't swim. I expected him to pull me out. I hadn't even had a chance to tell him about my pregnancy. But things didn't go as I expected. I vaguely heard a splash, but no one came for me. Instead, they went for Grace first. In a daze, I saw Marcus swimming frantically towards Grace. Grace didn't struggle, meekly letting him hold her in his arms, clinging to him like a helpless bird. Marcus carried Grace ashore. She leaned weakly against Marcus's chest, spat out a few mouthfuls of water, then clutched his arm, her eyes teary as she sobbed. I thought Sarah had forgiven me, and I wanted to talk to her properly, But I don't know why she suddenly got angry and pushed me into the water. I didn't mean to pull her in with me, I was just too scared. She spoke weakly, clutching her chest. Marcus, my body hurts so much. The people around saw that I was in distress and realized I was really drowning. Marcus showed no reaction, but some kind-hearted individuals tried to jump in to save me, only to be sharply reprimanded by Marcus. Who dares? Doesn't she just like to cause trouble for others? Let her suffer the consequences and soak in the WATE. I don't believe she'll actually let herself die. If she dies, fine, it'll be atonement for Grace. Once spoke, no one dared to move. I didn't hear his words, I only felt my body getting colder and colder. My abdomen suddenly gave a faint twitch, and my mind instantly cleared. My baby. I can't die, I still have my baby. Perhaps it was the will to survive. I don't know where I found the strength, but I struggled fiercely, finally grabbing the edge of the swimming pool and pulling myself up with difficulty. My lungs heaved, greedily gasping for fresh air. Before I could even recover, Marcus's sneering voice rang out above my head. I instinctively looked up and saw him holding Grace, a mocking look on his face. I knew you wouldn't let yourself die, Sarah. I warned you, and you still dare to play these games with me. You should be thankful Grace wasn't harmed because of you. Her body is already weakened from the miscarriage. If she had died today because of your jealousy, I'd make you pay with your life. Grace turned her head, her triumphant expression landing squarely in my eyes. She mouthed silently to me, you lost. Grace was right, I had lost. And I paid a huge price for it. Because I had been in the water for too long and caught a severe chill, I lost my baby. I still remember the feeling of it leaving my body on the operating table. Only pain. My entire body, everywhere, hurt. It felt like more blood was flowing from my heart. In the end, I just felt numb. During my hospital stay, Marcus visited me once. He looked at my pale cheeks and red eyes, still convinced I was putting on an act for him. Sarah, is this interesting? You failed to cause trouble for others, and now you're playing pitiful? Do you think I can't see through your little tricks? Is this how you think I'll forgive you? His words were so harsh that even the nurse beside me couldn't stand it and spoke up to defend me. How can you talk like that? She. On the operating table, I had thought OT. After everything, I couldn't help but recall the years Marcus and I had been together. I truly had been nothing more than a nanny. I organized all his things, and because he had a sensitive stomach, I carefully chose and prepared every meal for him. No matter how late he came home, I would wait for him and make him a special herbal tea for his hangover. I worked tirelessly and without complaint, only to end up with this. Throughout these years, I was always making a one-sided emotional investment. Even though I was the one who fell for him first, I had given more than enough. Marcus, who had benefited for so many years, always looked down on me, refused to believe me, and easily hurt me for others. I also finally understood my feelings for Marcus and decided to cut my losses. This child might have been the biggest tie between Marcus and me. Now that it was gone, Marcus and I had no future. I interrupted the nurse, smiled, and no longer argued. I just said, Marcus, let's break up. I wish you and Grace a happy future. Marcus stared at me for a few seconds, then suddenly curved his lips into a smile. Progress. Now you've even learned to play games with me. He still didn't care, crossing his arms and looking at me. Fine. If you want to break up, then don't get married. You say you made such a big fuss over a small matter like the passenger seat. Is it worth it? We won't get married. And I won't argue anymore. I repeated, Marcus, I really want to break up with you. All right, Marcus said. Seeing the seriousness on my face, he probably didn't expect me to be so resolute. For a moment, he felt he was losing face and couldn't help but mock. Let's see how long you can keep this up. I'm telling you, even if you come crawling back to me like a dog begging for reconciliation, I won't pay attention to you. I had no desire to debate with him further. I just watched him leave the hospital room, then packed my things and checked out. I had planned to go back to the house to collect my belongings. This house was originally bought by Marcus, and now that we had broken up, it was only right that I move out. But when I actually stood at the door, I found that the fingerprint and password had been changed. I couldn't open the door now. I stood there stunned for a long time, not even bothering to call Marcus. There were only a few important things inside anyway. I could always buy new ones. Just as I was about to leave, the door suddenly opened from the inside. Grace appeared prominently inside, directing movers to throw all my things out. Seeing me, she smiled. See? Marcus can only be mine. I just have to lift a finger, and he comes running. I didn't care. After paying the movers, I told them to take my things to my home address. Only then did I raise my face to Grace and say, I hope you two truly have a happy future. Just don't go out and cause trouble for others. During the first week after we broke up, I was still often sad. I thought about all those years, and on many late nights, I wondered if I had been too resolute in leaving. If I had just endured a little longer, I could have married Marcus. But then I couldn't help but think that with Grace around, even if Marcus and I got our marriage license, we would always break up because of Grace's constant meddling. Even without Grace, I wouldn't dare gamble on such a future, because Marcus truly didn't love me. During the second week after our breakup, I resigned from the office and found a new job. Yet, I still saw various social media posts from Grace and Marcus on my phone, like buying Grace the latest designer bag without batting an eye just to make her happy, and the two of them traveling to the Maldives. When I saw Grace posted the caption, "After 7 years, I finally gave myself to you again," accompanied by explicit bedroom photos, I finally couldn't help it. I deleted all of them and changed my phone number. I thought letting go of a 5-year relationship would be a slow, painstaking process, but aside from the very beginning, I didn't feel much pain afterward. Even when I saw the photos, it wasn't anger. I just thought, you two love being photographed so much, why don't you just go make a movie? But in the middle of the night, I often thought of the child who never got to be born. I remembered the feeling of him in my womb, the surprise when I first discovered him, the pride I felt thinking I would be a mother. But now all of it had turned into a handful of dust, gently yet heavily pressing on my heart, leaving me restless day and night. I set up a small memorial for the child at home, lighting candles and spending quiet moments of remembrance 3 times a day, to atone for my debt to him. While at the office today, I received a call from an unfamiliar number but didn't think much of it. Hello. The other end was silent for a long time. I could only hear shallow breathing. I seemed to guess something. If you don't speak, I'm hanging up. Are you pregnant? It was Marcus, of course. Then I remembered that the backup number I had filled out for my regular checkups was Marcus's. Now that I had changed my number, the hospital couldn't reach me, so they naturally called him. You've made enough of a fuss, it's time to be sensible and come back. You have a child now, I won't hold it against you. I'll still marry you. Are you satisfied? He spoke as if I was using the child to threaten him. I found it amusing and asked him, aren't you with Grace? And you still want to marry me? When was mentioned, Marcus seemed annoyed, but then he thought my question meant I still cared about him. I knew you were still jealous of Grace. I won't be with her. She's not as obedient as you. I said, but haven't you two already slept together? Can you stop dwelling on these things? Marcus said impatiently. Sarah, don't be ungrateful, okay? You keep your gratitude to yourself. I told him, you don't need to act like you're compromising. For me, the child is gone. If you count it, you're a murderer too. I didn't give him a chance to speak again. I just hung up the phone and added his number to my blacklist. But 3 days later, Marcus easily found me again. I ignored him, trying to turn and leave, but he seized my wrist. His grip was too strong, hurting me. I forcefully shook him off. We've broken up. What exactly do you want? He raised his hand and pinched my face, his expression sinister. My child. How dare you just abort it? Did you even ask for my consent? Whether I want to have it or not, it's not for you to dictate. I broke free from his grasp, raised my hand, and slapped him, using almost all my strength. My eyes reddened involuntarily as I spoke. Do you think I wanted to lose this child? Instead of looking for me, you should go ask Grace. He frowned, initially about to erupt in anger from my slap, but then paused because of my words. Just as he was about to retort, Grace appeared unexpectedly. Marcus, did you leave me just to find your ex-girlfriend? Having your cake and eating it too, aren't you despicable? What did you say when you were good to me before? Now you don't remember your promises from 7 years ago? Grace's heartbroken wail exceeded my understanding, almost identical to my own frenzy that day in the passenger seat. She continued, you still don't want to marry me because of her, do you? Sarah, I knew you were a despicable woman. Didn't you say you'd stay away from him? I took 2 steps back, not wanting to get involved in their twisted games. Look closely, this is my home. If you two keep making a racket here, don't blame me for calling security. After speaking, I ignored Marcus's attempts to stop me, resolutely entered the door, and slammed it shut, shutting them both out. Through the door, I could vaguely hear their argument. Marcus still had that impatient expression. What do you have that makes you worth marrying? Every day it's just buying things, buying things. You can't even make a special herbal tea for my hangover. Grace laughed in furious disbelief. You want me to make you a special herbal tea for your hangover? Are you dating me or treating me like a nanny, like your mother? Now that you've slept with me, you suddenly say this. Why didn't you say it before? Marcus, I knew you men. Shut up. It turned out that within just a few weeks, Marcus had grown tired of the one that got away, the woman he had longed for in his youth. Hearing's words, I actually found it amusing. For those years, I truly had been by his side like a nanny, taking care of him. He had gotten used to it, which was why he was surprised by his imagined pure and white moon. He wanted the moon to come down, and he wanted the moon to be able to take care of his every need. Moreover, was Grace truly the moon? 2 weeks later, Marcus actually came looking for me again, but his state was very odd. He directly blocked me downstairs from the office. At that time, I had just walked out with a male colleague, discussing project issues, and didn't even notice him. Marcus, I don't know what got into him, suddenly pulled me towards him. Sarah, how long has it been since we broke up? You're already looking for a new partner so quickly. Do they know you once had my child in your belly? I was furious and gestured for my male colleague to leave. What are you doing now? Don't just say he's my colleague, even if I was looking. What does it have to do with you? What, do you expect me to stay celibate after dating you? Hearing that he was just a colleague, Marcus's expression softened considerably. He pulled a box from his pocket and opened it. It was a ring. Sarah, I realize how good you are. What happened before was my fault. I also know about the child. Don't be sad, we'll have children in the future. I frowned. Who wants to have children with you? Marcus, are you sick? I told you I wanted to break up, and now you still think I'm playing games with you? His expression clearly froze. Are you kidding? Can you find a better option than me? Even now, Marcus remained arrogant. I thought of the time I had wasted on this man and felt both foolish and ridiculous. What exactly makes you think I'd come back? What makes you so confident? Having money doesn't mean you're a good catch, Marcus. You have no heart. Put your hand on your chest and ask yourself, have you truly been good to me all these years? As long as there are men alive on earth, I will never be with you again. Marcus frowned. I know I made some mistakes before. Now I've apologized. What more do you want? Fine, go die and I'll forgive you, I said with a cold laugh. If you bother me again, I'm calling the police. Seeing my resolute words, Marcus's tone suddenly softened, and he tried to take my hand. Sarah, I know you're angry with me right now, but it's really not necessary. I also know I was wrong, and I can change all of these things. Looking at his sincere expression, I suddenly felt disgusted and wanted to shake his hand off. But he just continued speaking to himself. My kindness to Grace was just me holding on to old feelings. Now I see that you're actually the best to me, and only you truly love me for who I am. I thought Marcus was crazy. When I loved him, he tormented me and ignored me. Now that I no longer loved him, he acted deeply devoted and remorseful. People like him are just pathetic. After that day, Marcus seemed determined to prove his feelings for me. He stopped going to work and waited for me downstairs at the office every day, only leaving when I called security. Later, he changed tactics, parking his car downstairs at my place and sleeping in it every day. He also often sent me flowers. Each time, I threw the flowers in the trash can right in front of him. After a month, I guessed he couldn't stand it anymore. Looking at the fresh flowers in the trash can, he looked deeply hurt, stood up, and blocked my way. Sarah, aren't you being too harsh? Marcus gave a bitter smile. You have to allow me to make mistakes, give me a chance, don't you? I looked at him expressionlessly. Marcus, do you think the pain you've caused me isn't enough? I lost a child, and years of my youth. How can you possibly think I can forgive you with a simple apology? I said firmly, and I've never liked roses. Yet for this past month, you've sent me roses every single day. You don't even know what I like. And you still want me to forgive you? Don't you think that's funny? Marcus seemed to have never considered this point. His expression was clearly stunned. His eyes reddened, his voice hoarse. I'm sorry, I regret it so much. If I could do it again. I interrupted him, my tone cold, just like his had been with me back then. if I could do it again, I'd rather have never met you. Is there any point in you standing here feeling sorry for yourself? You think you only appreciate things after you've lost them. Actually, you're just upset that Grace can't tolerate and take care of you like I could, aren't you? I don't think you need a lover at all, you need a nanny. I raised my hand and slapped him. This is what I should have given you a long time ago, Marcus. You make me sick. As I walked upstairs, he still stood in the same spot. Finally, I heard him say, if I can make those who hurt you pay the price, will you forgive me? I replied, you hurt me the deepest. If you're so capable, then pay the price yourself. Otherwise, don't come back. I wondered if my words had truly worked. I never saw Marcus again. But then I ran into an old friend, who asked me, shocked, you don't know? Know what? She said, her voice buzzing with excitement, everyone in our circle is buzzing about it. Marcus is the one that got away is utterly wicked. The only reason she divorced and came back to the country was because her ex-AIDS. That had certainly not occurred to me. Then isn't. Exactly. AIDS status would be revealed. But, for some reason, didn't marry her. She looked up at me, unable to hide her eagerness for gossip. I heard Marcus is still obsessed with you. Seeing my scoff, she continued, but eventually, Grace's HIV be kept secret. And was infected too. He was absolutely furious and even hired someone to have Grace dealt with. But is no pushover either. She went all out and drove her car right into him. Now they're both still lying in the hospital, and word is they might never be able to get out of bed again. And I heard that he was calling out your name from his hospital bed, wanting you to come back and take care of him, and all that. I said, dismissively, is he dreaming? After I got home, I put the whole thing out of my mind. But a few days later, I suddenly received a package. Inside were all sorts of things I had mentioned wanting to Marcus before, even a ring I hadn't asked for. When I loved him, they would have been treasures, but now, they were no different than trash to me. There was also a letter inside. It was in Marcus's handwriting, but now it was shaky and messy. I read 2 lines, which were full of useless nonsense, saying how much he regretted everything. I didn't want to waste any more of my time, so I threw everything into the trash can downstairs. I didn't care what became of Marcus and Grace. I was just glad I had pulled away in time and hadn't gotten caught up in their twisted games. But learning their ultimate fate, I felt immensely satisfied. Consider it their atonement for what they did to my child. From the moment I left him, I had already begun a truly new life.